What's up, guys? After a week off, I know you missed our asses. You missed these silky pipes telling you all about our league and the hyper-local interests of the members of the Freak Show. Pat, how are you this late afternoon?
I'm doing well. You know, hand up. My bad. For the reason we didn't have the podcast last week. I thought we could squeeze one in Sunday morning, but we got a little rowdy on a Saturday night wedding, and just logistically couldn't cut it. So here we are, back with, I think, episode 6, and we're ready, man. We're ready. We're rested. We had our bye week, and now we're ready to attack the second half of this fantasy season.
And you know, I just want to be the first person to say this. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and Derek De La Rosa, I'm sorry, man. I've been weird to you. And for that,
I'm sorry. Dude, that is, I can't stop. It is the funniest content that I've seen.
I've been thinking Harry Potter.
Weird to you.
I cannot get enough of it. I might quit the league and just like devote my career and life to watching that 8 second.
I can't get enough. But I will say, you know, before we jump in, congrats to the new dad. You know, Big Teddy. October 26th was the birthday.
Today's the 27th. Yes, it is. So no. Wait, that was yesterday. Yeah, the 26th.
Yeah, all right.
26th. Good day. You know, and honestly, if you think about it, it's like right before Halloween, which means this kid is going to have his birthday party coincide with Halloween parties, which are, until you're like 30, the most fun parties. Like the most.
This kid
fun.
is going to get so laid in college.
Dude,
Halloween plus birthday.
I know. He's going to be going to Skidmore. Roger Williams or wherever Nicole went. I forget exactly.
Roger Williams, yeah.
Was it Roger Williams?
So anyway. I believe on the day Quinn was born, there was an NFL trade for Robert Quinn. So I wonder if Ted got his inspiration from Robert Quinn.
His namesake. And that middle name, Hudson, because we all know Ted and Nicole are huge fans of veteran MLB middle reliever Dan Hudson. And that's something we just know about their personalities. You know, that's just...
Was he a national?
He was. He's a journeyman.
Journeyman,
they love Journeyman over there in Larchmont. But yeah, huge congrats to Ted and Nicole. I mean, you and I are fathers, so we know that when it comes time to give birth, it's all about the dads. It's us doing most of the work. So congrats, Ted.
Good job, Ted. Nicole, I'm sure I'm sure you did great too. But
participation trophy for Nicole for sure.
Big ups to Ted for going through that, man.
Yeah, for toughing it out for Ted. And honestly, Ted. It's one of those weeks where you don't have to set your roster. No one's going to blame you. No one's going to care if you're like
take
too
the week
up.
off.
Yeah, think about it. You're probably maybe as we're recording this, getting discharged from the hospital. You're strapping your kid into the seat the first time. I think you guys gave birth in the city, so you're going to drive like during rush hour on a Thursday all the way home to Larchmont, driving no faster than 16 miles an hour. I'm sure of it. So if you don't get home in time to set your roster for Thursday night, that's okay, my friend, because new dads get that preffy treatment. You know what I mean? Congrats.
Exciting stuff, man. Yeah, so it was busy week. Obviously, earlier today you had the 12-minute free agency breakdown, which was enthralled. All 12 minutes. I didn't fast forward at maybe a 1.5 speed, but I certainly listened
fast. I wish I could slow down the pace. I mean, I wish I could go 0.5 speed and listen to it slower with a more sultry cadence. But yeah, when I finished that, I was like, wow, 12 minutes. I should probably get my life together. But
yeah,
I mean,
no, it's great because we all find way more than 12 minutes. So if you can keep that up weekly, we'll you got 11 people listening to you.
Waivers are easy to talk about because it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. You just need to criticize the person making the move. That's the secret sauce. But let's actually talk about moves really quick because our league we've had some trades this year. I want to say this year has been and maybe the trend is most leagues are down in overall trades. People are overvaluing their guys. They are holding tight to their drafted players, their strategic pickups, but not you. You traded recent free agent pickup, and is he the number one receiver on the best offense in football? Maybe.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Colton MVS.
That was nice. Bacher sent that over to me Tuesday morning, and that was nice because, look, I'm not confident about the Ravens defense tonight. I'm gonna roll with them, have a little action on a Thursday, but I was gonna drop MVS for a second defense this week because I like the Ravens long term. So it was nice to get anything. And look, Kyle Pitts is so fucking good. Like his ceiling is a top tier red zone target, and
His ceiling is like a number 2 wide receiver, basically.
I think
like
he's
based
good
on
for
last
depth.
year.
So I think he had his bye. So anyway, I was happy to do it, and now I know with the Kadarius Toney news that another outside wideout for the wide receiver for the Chiefs.
I mean, Kadarius is Tyreek-like.
Kadarius is really good, dude.
If I'm living in like Overland Park, Kansas, I'm over in fucking Missouri somewhere. I'm excited for this pickup.
Yeah, Kadarius was surprised as a first round pick, but I think Florida boy, he's good, man. He's like real crafty and shifty. So I think he's just another tool, an arrow in that Mahomes quiver. So Marty, the rich get richer. So I would say
they signed Smith-Schuster. They draft Sky Moore in the second round, and they're like, let's trade a third rounder for someone else's first rounder from a year ago. It's diabolical, if I may. And it's also diabolical pulling off this trade. I mean, getting a favorable trade sent to you. Like, look, last year Josh sent me like, do you want James Robinson for Chris Carson's dead body? And I was like, yes. A couple years ago, a Perva mid-season was like, hey, man, here's rookie Kyler. Can you give me Emmanuel Sanders? And I was like, yeah, yes.
Was rookie Kyler prolific fantasy-wise? I don't recall him having
He was dangerous.
He was dangerous.
Enough to be dangerous. You know what I mean? More dangerous than Emmanuel Sanders having like an every other week nice game on the Bills at that time. Early Josh Allen. But anyway, great trade. Great trade.
I'm happy to get in the mix. You had a trade. Chaz had a trade. There was a blockbuster of a trade for IDPs a week ago. So it's just nice that
one of those guys already on the waiver. To get a traded man on the waiver, that's huge.
That's huge. But yeah, so look, I was excited about that. And then obviously, we have some real injured players. I think if you're looking at a lot of rosters, everyone's got a queue. I have like 4 starting guys who have a queue. So it's kind of a weird time of year. You got the bye weeks, you got the 17-game season, so people are getting some veteran rest midweek. So the Thursday chaos on the waiver wire is I think we're going to see busy Thursdays. I think a lot of guys are going to be pretty unsure. A lot of guys sitting out Wednesdays, and guys in our league needing to get some security, making sure that they have a startable player. But I'm excited for Saturday. I think there's a lot of good players on the waiver wire who were dropped today.
Yeah, there are.
So I think it's a busy week as always. But you want to just hop into these matchups because we are week 8. And week 8 is we got a lot of teams. We got 4-win teams, 5-win teams looking to continue.
Walk me through what you're saying right now. Walk me through with your eyes what you're saying. Why don't you start wherever you feel comfortable in terms of matchup.
I'll start with. I feel like we end with ourselves. I'll start with me and Gotti right now because I'll tell you, it seems like we got teams heading in opposite directions here. Rob's team has had one of the worst injury bugs I've ever seen. With losing Brees, obviously a bummer. He's got Mike Williams without for a while. And it seems like Henderson's hurt or sick, and then he maybe lost Zeke for the weekend, and also Chuba Hubbard didn't practice. So you're getting a battered Gotti team. And my team, like I said, we got some Qs. We got Kelsey on a bye, who's been a workhorse for us. But, I think just going top to bottom, I think I like the matchup a lot for my boys, for my boy Derek Carr. He's going to New Orleans. Tricky place to play. But, then you have Kyle going at Minnesota. And I don't know what to make of the Minnesota defense. So I think we're both going to have nice 20 to 25-point days. Nothing too crazy, but startable days. And then I think we're all excited to see what Christian McCaffrey looks like in his new team with a full week to get that playbook.
Yeah, I think the McCaffrey is going to be incredible in San Francisco. I got very lucky facing like a guy on a business trip, basically, who just like
he learned the playbook on the flight. I like that narrative.
Well, he was probably doing high knees because that's what the top players do.
The best players.
I read the best players in the sport work out in the sky. But look, I mean, Rob's team.
He's trotting out a banged up lineup at for 4 o'clock on a Thursday.
It's deeply hurt. I mean, he had the most consolidated injury bug hit him we've maybe ever seen. I mean,
cluster injuries. It's one thing to lose Brees, who is like RB6, and then Mike Williams, and then Zeke now, who's actually had 2 back-to-back games. So
he lost Marquise 2 weeks ago, then Brees, so 2 IRs. And then in the midst of this, you have Elijah Moore, who he just picks up, is like, I don't want to be here anymore. There's too much shit on me. And then you've got the rest of his squad. I mean, Brandon Cooks is back to being who he is, and then everybody else is hurt or traded and getting acclimated. Mike Williams is going to miss many weeks with a high ankle sprain. So frustrating stuff for your boy. Look, I think you've got this in the bag just because Jefferson, nice matchup against Arizona. Walker and Mixon. Great, man. I mean, you might have 2 RB1s.
I think I'm excited. I mean, it's a weird spot for me to have 2 good running backs. I need to navigate bye weeks for those guys, because if I can get wins with Kelsey and Jefferson on a bye, I'm basically conceding losses. Unless McKinnon has a monster day, because I just don't have depth at running back. So with these 2 guys, I need to get as many W's with both starting running backs, and I think my matchups are good enough. I don't think there's anything crazy. I think bet the under in the medium bodies matchup, but I think my heart goes out to Rob, because he was on fire to start, and in the last 2 weeks he's just lost like 4 starters.
I mean, my heart doesn't really go out to him just because he has 5 wins, so you can fucking.
Yeah, actually, good point. He has more wins than me, so
he has a lot of wins. He's in a nice position. He'll figure it out. He's a smart guy. He went to Princeton, but look, you still have Jerick McKinnon on your team. He's barely put up more fantasy points this year than Kate McKinnon. So you're holding on to some guys who, frankly, anything happen, any injuries happen to you, I mean, you're one.
We're in trouble, and we know that. And you know what? All right, that's how I've always been. I've always been paper thin depth wise, but if we're able to stay healthy, I think my team is in good shape for a run. But like I said, I got to win before I get to the bye weeks, because bye weeks for my running backs, because it's the haves and have-nots. Which I think is a great transition into the next matchup of the Havest team recently. 3 of the last 4 50 burgers going to Marty, and our TV star, our local news Brooklyn DJ, the 1-6 Chaz.
Which, can we just say as an aside, like, a lot of us saw the teaser, but the full clip is Josh saying, like, I've played his music in Tel Aviv, I've played his music in Melbourne.
Dude,
I played his music in the beaches of Ibiza.
I had that thought. It was like, here's a platform on national television to be like, hey man, Judaism's like a really big part of what I am. Like, my parents are immigrants, and I had this bar mitzvah, and it's really been the crux of like my.
I did a wedding in Australia. I did a bat mitzvah in Saskia.
Yeah, and it was like, I've been everywhere. Hate's bad. Back to you. It was like, so. Yeah.
Worldwide DJ. Check out ChazRockwell.com. Anyway, look, great. Look, not every day do you have a fantasy team member being an anti-hate news superstar. Frankly,
I would say I'm proud of Josh for being so brave to say hate has no place here. I think that echoes the sentiments of this league, and it was his opponent who gave him the opportunity. So how apropos that they would face off this weekend.
It is apropos, but let's just button up your matchup. I think you're going to take it this week, barring something. I mean, look, maybe Christian McCaffrey like playing in his like pseudo home area in San Francisco. It's an interesting matchup. I mean, I'm sure going up against Christian McCaffrey a week in on San Francisco is tricky, but he again might not have Darrell Henderson, might not have Zeke Elliott, and he literally doesn't have anybody to replace those guys. Dolchich though, baby. Let's go, Dolchich.
If he starts him, that will be. I don't want anyone playing in that fucking 9 a.m. game. Those are exhausting. Going from 9 a.m. to.
That's tricky, but don't act like you're not up. You're a father. But yeah, like let's actually talk about Josh's team, as you were saying, and it's the richest man in the league in terms of top scores versus the poorest man in the league in terms of secular hate thrown his way. I would say.
Wow. Yeah. I look. Josh has been a bit of a darling for years now, but I got to tell you, man, he's fighting. He's fighting. He picked up Gus Edwards, which is a great pickup.
Yeah, you think about
Connor
didn't
looks to be
start
back
him.
this week.
Yep. Yep.
But I wouldn't have
Tyler
thought of it.
Boyd.
There was a lot of Kenyon Drake hype last week.
Yeah. I mean, Josh's team, again, you want guys to participate. I think if Josh's team loses this week, we may see a guy who's talking a lot about, you see Jalen Brunson, you guys catch that Knicks game? This guy might just be checked out for the rest
He's
of the
just moving on. I would hope that Josh's stick-to-itiveness is going to be there, because I know Marty's going to be in his ear all week. I think Marty's going to keep him motivated. So you hope for the upset. You hope for the upset.
Say, to defend your point right there, I don't think that we are going to see him just step away from the league, because you don't get the opportunity to DJ in Australia, in Israel, in
Tel
California,
Aviv.
in Tel Aviv, in Miami, in Brooklyn of all places, unless you have work ethic, determination, and fight or flight mentality, which you have to have when you're 1-6 and at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, it's
You think though, because at the end of the day, he still has Nick Chubb, he still has a Debo, he still has Thielen and Kirk going up against Arizona. He's got Cortland, a British-sounding name, playing in London.
That's true.
Cortland,
And this is a Wembley game. This is no more Tottenham. This is Wembley. So and I like it's well, actually, do I like this? The Commanders on defense. Josh is pretty savvy normally with his IDPs and defenses. Commanders, I believe Chase Young is whispers of him returning to the starting lineup.
Yeah.
But going against Sam Ellinger in his first career start, I like the Commanders start for Josh. But I think he could have a decent, we'll call it three-headed monster if Gus has the carries tonight. Connor was healthy enough to get touches.
Good run defense though, but they've been kind of poor lately. The baby's waking up, so we're gonna have to speed through this a little bit. Why don't you go back to sleep, little man? We're looking tomorrow over here. But really quickly on this, I mean, Jacksonville is owned by a soccer team owning British national, I believe. Whereas
Shot is British?
I believe so. Whereas the Walton family, Walmart, owns the Broncos. There's no Walmarts in England, people. That's Boots territory, right? So I mean, this is going to be an away game for Denver. So
Hundo P. Jacksonville's been this is just another trip for Jacksonville. They do this annually. Trevor, they know Trevor well.
Just another trip. Look, I think that it doesn't matter how much we're going to compliment Josh's team. This is Marty's week.
Marty's team is very good.
Marty has Tyreek Hill. He's got Josh Jacobs coming back. I mean, look, he's starting Tua this week, so this is an important week for Marty. He doesn't have Mahomes, his best player by far. And to be frank, we've seen some low weeks of late with Tyreek, but another week of Tua being in the mix, I don't see this.
Dude, he's got the Lions. It's a great. If this was a Tua week, if there's a week to start Tua, it's this. He's got in Detroit, whatever. It's he can have the double up with Tyreek. Josh Jacobs has just been an absolute. What is up with running backs figuring it out in like the fifth year, like Cordy P.
Also
Cordero.
cheeky. He's starting Taysom Hill over George Kittle. Like Marty, just get over yourself.
I think it's Thursday. He may even have.
Nobody.
Well, no, he probably will stick with that. But I think, look, Marty's team is very good. Played the bye well. This is the week you start Tua. But, it's funny because you look at the matchup and you try to be optimistic and you're like, man, Josh has a puncher's chance. Maybe if Kirk Cousins puts up, and I can't figure out a path to victory
36, he throws like 4 touchdowns or something. And
3 to Thielen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Chubb is chubbing along. He's the number 2 running back, but in the last few weeks, he's got 25 7. So
he's banking on big time air yards. But we know that Detroit gives up the most rushing yards, and you know who's on their team? Raheem the Dream. Everyone's following this week, who at the very beginning of this podcast recording was downgraded to questionable. I remember when that happened, when I was at a business meeting and I had Deshaun Watson his rookie year, and I was like, oh, weird, he's downgraded to questionable.
I remember that.
Interesting. And then I panicked and I traded Julio Jones for Derek Carr. But let's move on.
In the Jets parking lot before we beat the Bills on a Thursday night game. Thank you.
I hated that game, bro. That was Thanksgiving. We'll talk about it all day long. Let's talk about Schwartz versus Dima. This is a matchup of two guys who have very peculiar and particular pickup strategies.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, Dan's got 3 QBs. Dima's had every wide receiver 3 in the league so far flow through his roster. And I think, regardless of that criticism I just levied, No, this is definitely Schwartz's week. I mean, Kamara.
Dude, he's got
Dalvin,
Burrow. Demon's got Joey B, and
I
Joey
don't
B
know.
is cooking. What is Joey
He-
back-to-back weeks? He's got to be 40 back-to-back weeks.
Joey is a fresh
39,
39 and
45.
So
Yeah,
you're wrong.
that
It
is
wasn't back-to-back 40, dude. You're wrong.
you got the
But
Brown.
Jamal Williams with Swift back. This is gonna be a nice Swift Williams matchup head to head, which you love to see.
We'll see who the healthier back is. But I think this is an interesting. This was the prize pickup, right? The Daniel Jones free agency. Was it $6 DJ?
I think that the Daniel Jones stuff is a little overblown. I mean, this past week he had 107 yards rushing on Jacksonville and a touchdown. I mean, he does not throw for much, and he's a mobile QB, but
yeah,
I mean, that was a bit of an outlier. So I think that
you're banking on a lot of rushing yards. I mean, Seattle's defense isn't great.
Like I said, Aaron Rodgers going up against the Bills. I mean, they're going to have to throw a ton.
I think it's kind of a weird scenario because Bills are coming off a bye. Rodgers may not have Lazard, and you watched that team last week. I think it got local coverage at the end with on Fox before whatever the afternoon game was, Chiefs Niners, and you just watch that offense looked so fucking bad. It was like I would have zero confidence in Aaron because he's throwing a no name, that kid from Clemson, number 8, Rodgers, he's dropping balls. They have dubs. They're banged up. Sammy Watkins, there was one throw to Sammy Watkins where Sammy couldn't have given less shits about this. It was just they threw him kind of like a 50-50 ball, and Sammy just jogged. It was embarrassing.
That was also a start for that was a start over Pollard last week. 10D chess from Schwartz. He started Sammy Watkins last week, promptly dropped him so that we wouldn't notice how bad of a play that was. Well, let's talk about the next matchup, which is going to be Bacher versus...
Wait, who do you think is going to win the Dima?
Oh, I'm sorry.
matchup?
I think it's going to be Dan because I just think that Daniel Jones is going to do enough. He's got really good running backs. He has Waddle with Tua, who are great connection. I like it. And look, let's say, Swift is diminished. Start Pollard. Zeke's probably going to be out.
I'm sure he will start Pollard by the. Actually, dude, what a fucking lineup! He's got Kamara, Dalvin Cook, and DeAndre Swift.
Pretty incredible. And look, it could have been Connor and Curtis Samuel. I guess we'll never know in the end.
I guess, but I will say I got Dima in this one. I like that DJ Moore has a better quarterback. Gabe Davis they're gonna air it out against Green Bay, and he's got Joey, who's got the hot hand at Cleveland. The mark of the king of the NFC North used to be Roethlisberger. Now it's Joey B. Is you beat up on Cleveland every
I think it's
year.
gonna be a big Singletary week though, so it doesn't matter. Gabe
Gabe is got to be a frustrating guy to own because he is as boom or bust as
It's he had 4 receptions for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, where he had 2 catches for 12 yards.
Right. So I like Dima, but I think this is a close one. I'm hoping it's Dima. Bring those teams both to 5 wins, and kind of middle of the pack. But
and for the record, I like Dima too as a guy. But yeah, Schwartz is going to win. Okay.
Dima's
Let's move on now, because again, the kid's crying.
The kid's crying. We're moving quick, bro. So we got I Fuck a Lot of Women and Team Desai.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, in this case, I don't even want to talk about it because I'm concerned about Apurva's whereabouts and if he's okay. He didn't pick up a quarterback. He doesn't have a starting quarterback on his roster. Amon St. Brown, while back, brain scrambled. Jerry Jeudy in London. We don't like it. Algier. I mean, I think Apurva's not set up for success here. And Jamar Chase, Josh Allen in prime time, Aaron Jones looking like an uncontested back. Olave being the number one.
I like Olave a lot. I think Olave is kind of a nice. It's nice to see Bacher, who we'll call the new guy. The new guy coming into the league and making some savvy rookie pickups. I remember he also drafted George Pickens, and a little patience with Pickens would have been.
He's a big fan of the young guns. I mean, he was trying to trade. Now this should have done it, but he was trying to trade Michael Carter for Traylon Burks around the season. I was like, hit the fucking road, man.
That would have worked out.
That would have been advantageous in modern day, but maybe not because of James Robinson. You never know. James Robinson's quite good.
But
he's had more success in his career than Michael.
Let's not shit on Apurva. He has.
Let's speed it the heck up, okay? Let's speed it.
Let me just say this: if you could have any player in any matchup this weekend, it would be Derrick Henry against the Texans. Derrick Henry may get 40 points here this week for Apurva. So quarterback is TBD. I like Diggs in a big game. Hopkins at Minnesota. That game will be kind of a fun shootout. So I think this might be the sneaky over bet of the week with depending on who a Perva picks up under center. So I'm going to give it to a Perva because
Stunning
I want
stuff.
Bakker to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra, Diggs, Hopkins, that's a nice stack. But if he starts like somebody freaking stinks, then it really won't matter. Bad QB play will sink a team. I mean, I scored over 100 points against him and had like 3 points from Mariota. And it's like, wow, thanks. I could have picked 27 other
Any
guys.
other guys, yeah.
It happens.
Quarterback play is down this year. I just real quick looked at like the numbers, and obviously I'm keeping Trevor. The guy's QB9 this year. Look at his he has no business being a top 10 quarterback. It's just
Gino's
everyone
on
across the
QB7
league
this year. Let's freaking go. Gino, baby. Let's move it on because the
Hey.
son is crying. He's really, really upset. And you're just trying to give me a sides here. Pat, read the room, dude. House
can't read
Targaryen
the
versus Comrag.
Okay.
That's Derek versus Greg. These are two of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, Derek's team is a bummer, but I think just Wandale Robinson. You know, he's starting Dale, Kirk, Adams.
You don't
and
trade
Jack.
Kadarius if you don't feel good about Wandale as an organization, I got to say.
I guess so. I mean, Jalen's off the bye. Pitt can't really stop the run this year, which is good for them.
Devontae's off the bye. I think that Jonathan Taylor, if he doesn't score above 12 points again, panic territory.
I've been panicking, dude. I don't get it, man. So there's like a stat that has like no guy has finished the RB1 or wide receiver 1 2 years in a row, but like you still expect the guy to be like RB5, RB10. This guy is non-existent. So bit of a bummer for the JT season, but I like trading for the upside. Tom goes tonight for Greg. We'll see if Tom is just dead. But Greg's got sneaky great running back tandems with good matchups. Saquon at Seattle, and like I said, Miles Sanders. Hopefully he vultures some of the Jalen Hurts touches. And, you know, I think it's hard to it's hard to get excited about this one because you're looking at teams that are struggling to break 100 in the last few weeks. So
This has been a down scoring year. I mean, I thought I was actually going to get the 50 last week, but damn Demon, damn Joe Burrow. And other people who outscored me, but whatever. I was within the realm. So anyway, Jordan just said she's going to come home and get this guy up and take him to the library with Cam. So let's slow it down again.
okay, all right. You let me know. I'm doing some of the heavy lifting here. You let me know. What do we need? Do we need like an intermission?
Well, let's talk about this really quick because
Okay.
with Derek's team, I've long said Derek's team is perfect, and by Derek's team, because I haven't been saying that, Greg's team, perfectly fine. Tom Brady can explode. Saquon Barkley has been consistently very good. Miles Sanders, when active, has been quite good. Pittman, McLaurin, of late Ayuk, like this team, while not constructed like Ted's team, for example, is pretty competitive.
They're a good team. I spent most of last week worried I would lose to Greg. He's got a good team.
So he's 1-6. I lost to Greg. So I know what it's like to lose to Greg.
Well, I can say, like, if you look at, Greg, like me, loves the wide receivers, and here we are. Both of our teams wound up with two pretty good running backs. I mean, Saquon is what, top 5, and Sanders is top 10? If my button
Sanders is got to be.
I mean, he had the bye, so maybe his numbers will be his
I think
ranking.
he's an RB1 though because
Miles
he's had
Sanders is
huge games. Take it back. He's an RB2. He's number 15th running back on the season.
But he had an early bye, so
he did. He's having an early
either way, I like Greg's tandem. We'll see what happens with Pittman with the young Texas. If you want to Google a funny soundbite, Sam Ellinger, after Texas won their bowl game against, I believe, Drew Lock at Missouri, did the infamous "we're back," and then I think went like 5-6 the next season after the bowl game. So tough luck for
and now he's getting to start over like Matt Ryan and Nick Foles. Probably, I bet he's earned the respect of the locker room.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it's interesting with that because like, who the fuck knows what Pittman does? Sam could come out, run a competent offense, or just look absolutely lost.
I mean, they're watching him in practice every day, right? Like,
or is it holy shit? It can't get worse than Matt Ryan.
But see, like Matt Ryan though was like, he had some like competent passing days. Like for example, Matt Ryan has had better days in the last 2-3 weeks than Zach Wilson has had.
Well, Zach Wilson hasn't lost. So how can you have a better day if you?
Well, they've got better running back play. We can all agree that Jonathan Taylor's worse than all the Jets running backs. That's long
Without a doubt. Without
Long
a
been
doubt.
the case. Whoever would trade for a guy like that, I mean, like, get your life in order, bro.
It's hard looking at Derek's team and saying, man, it just, you look at a lot of guys who, I don't know, Christian Kirk, we gave him credit early in the year, but like Christian Kirk has been such a bummer the last few weeks. I
We
mean,
also
he's
gave
still,
him James Robinson credit. I mean, we gave him a lot of credit for guys who are like, early surprises, right?
yeah, it looked good early
Early
on.
surprise. Kareem Hunt started the season looking like all world. Like, think about it. Derek was the champ, and then Kareem Hunt opens the season with like 20 points or something like that.
Yeah, and I think Kirk had a big game too, and it was like, and Hurts
And
had
like,
like a big game.
right, and you're like, oh no, he's done it again. And then
Right.
you peel back, you peel back the skin, and you're like, well, he's got Devontae Adams, and he had to trade for Jonathan Taylor, who's going to retire like mid-season. And then Jalen Hurts is amazing.
I will say this.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, I will say, the Saints have gotten bludgeoned by wide receiver ones. I gave my my take on Hopkins being just pretty good instead of everyone's like he's all the way back, because the last number one receivers that the Saints have had to defend, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, and someone prior to that, I know those two because they're on my team, have all been 20-point guys. So I will say, a bit chalky, I'm going to give Devontae Adams my wide receiver one of the week. I think he is going to have a monster day in the Big Easy and have a nice 25-point day.
That's a nice call. It looks like though he wasn't spotted at practice today.
Devontae?
Less than an hour ago, wasn't spotted at practice. He's ill.
Oh no!
Devontae
Really?
was sick. He didn't practice, so what he's able to do Friday will be key. So to have your best player sick, and look, that's the season. Get your flu shots, people.
Interesting. Yeah, Kristen's been saying the flu has been running rampant at the hospital. So get your flu shots, please. Safety first.
Two final notes here. Three final notes. Unlucky for Derek. I mean, Romeo Dobbs, like I saw this like Twitter thread of like snap count percentage of like the main fantasy relevant guys for all these different teams. And Dobbs was on the field and running routes like the whole game. Like,
yeah,
100% of the game.
I gave my early season takes about this, and I made, I believe, a $25 bet with Derek. And Aaron is such a dick to like receivers. Like if he will ignore receivers. Like if you get on his bad side and have a few drops, he's just going to ignore you. And I think he just hates rookies. Like he's like, I'd rather a guy who's played for 6 years and knows where to be than a
I'd rather
super.
throw to like Sammy Watkins and be like, yeah,
Exactly. He actually would. Yeah. And like Dobbs is super talented. And it's just like Aaron just doesn't look at it. Like targets, to your point, where targets relative to like snaps is for him, he's like 5 targets for like 97% of plays.
It doesn't make any sense. And he had that one really big week. And I guess that he had that like notable drop earlier in the season.
He's dead to Aaron. He's dead to him.
Exactly. He's dead to Aaron. So, and then the other note I wanted to make on Derek's team is this Tyquan Thornton pickup. He bid $19 last week, going into last week for him. I don't know who this guy is. I feel
Yeah,
like
well, once Bailey Zappi is under center, you want in on all of the wide receivers. But now it seems like Mac's going to be the quarterback going against Sauce and DJ Reed in the lockdown corners of New York City. So
it's tricky. He didn't do much last week, so I guess like is Thornton's like PR team that powerful? They're just sort of reaching out to all the different myriad fantasy.
I think you want to know what Derek. You want to know what media outlet Derek follows for all his fantasy news. Find the one that was all in on this Thornton guy, because you'll know exactly who Derek's listening to. Because
you're like, ooh, interesting, Thornton. Yeah. But like the 19 was, I think a dash of desperation with like intel that's pretty rare. So he's like, ooh. This one's a lotto ticket.
So my brother does this, where there's like a guy you like. My brother won one of his leagues last year, and the guy who he listened to on like a Spotify or whatever, a Sirius channel, he like listens to him every draft pick this year, like everything this guy says. So maybe the guy Derek listened to last year is in on this, which is also kind of like a slight dig at Derek. Like, figure it out for yourself. Don't listen to some podcast.
We're in the doldrums for fantasy advice. It's like if you watch any of these videos for like who's the top guy to pick up, they're like, well, I would put a flyer on Irv Smith Jr. It's like, no, you wouldn't. Like who cares? At this point, we pretty much know.
Yeah, I do like that. As the dust settles, like you're no longer in like week 2 being like, holy shit, get this guy. He's going to blow up. I say that as I trade for Kyle Pitts, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But you kind of have an idea of how teams are going to be 6-7 weeks into the season. So I
also
think
want to say, Kamish, lock Greg's roster. Do not allow him to pick anybody up. He has J.K. Dobbins in the IR slot. Not allowed.
Wait, does he really?
At press time, he is in the IR slot, which he should be because we should have an IR slot, and he's hurt. But that's abuse, and that's grounds to lock a roster.
You know what, Greg? We're gonna have a closed door conversation about that.
I would say like, Rob should have been able to keep Brees Hall. If you have like a guy who's like definitively out for the season, it's like purely emotional, like keep him.
I said Rob can do it. It's a Brees Hall exception. I understand he bought the jersey.
Yeah.
If you buy a guy who's on your fantasy team, on your favorite team, and he gets hurt, you get an IR spot.
How about
if Greg wants to become a Ravens fan, if Ravens become Greg's favorite team and he gets a J.K. Dobbins jersey, that IR slot is yours, bud.
You should have put Penny down there, honored him for his one big week.
His 2 weeks. He had the monster week against Detroit. Yeah, no, it's Kenny Walker's time now, and that's right. We talked about we're going to be a huge Seattle podcast. Dude, you're on the Geno side and the DK side. I got the backfield and the kicker. I got Walker. Right. Speaking of kickers, I will say shout out to Derek for having Dan Carlson, who is just an absolute honcho. He's number 2 because I'm pretty sure.
Number 2, double digits every week except for week 1 where he had 9.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like looking at what teams can do. Like the best part about Derek's roster is his kicker. I just think Daniel Carson's awesome.
Well, Derek also has the number 1 defense. So like let's say Derek's team was better.
All 3 phases. He focuses on defense and special teams. I applaud that. That's
because let's get to someone who really does care about those 3 phases, those 4 phases, which is IDP, kicker, defense, and everybody else. Is Ted, the new dad? Because
we're going new dad. So who do you think's winning the Greg Targaryen match?
I'm sorry about that. I think it's I do think it's going to be Derek because I think that Devontae Adams against New Orleans, as you say, is going to be dynamite.
If he's healthy enough to go, I think that's why I'm excited for Carr. So yeah, I'll give it to Derek as well. Although I just don't. After watching Tom last week, it's like, is this the year? Like, is it finally time?
He would have had 70 more yards and an additional touchdown.
That's a good point.
If Mike Evans didn't have his hands freshly buttered. But on Derek's side, yeah, I mean, like, barring a Kareem Hunt trade where we'll have to start James Robinson, I guess, and maybe you could already start James Robinson, but Wandale with no Kadarius, Christian Kirk having a nice week last week, Devontae Adams is back, Taylor, I guess, Hurts against Pittsburgh should do crazy things. Like, Derek's set up pretty nicely this week. And plus, Cowboys against Chicago, they should score like 25 points as a defense.
I can't believe New England lost to the fucking Bears. Like, I watched the Bears, I'm like, this may be the worst roster in football. How are they like 3 wins?
And the whole Justin Fields thing, I'm like, okay, we get it. Like, he's not good.
They need to just run a Lamar Jackson offense with him with less passing because Fields is like a phenomenal athlete, but he is just he's dog shit with the ball. Like he's just not
a real player. Eric Crouch type. But I would I'm going to give that one to Derek.
I will too. Sorry, Greg. And then moving on, finally.
Moving on to the one we all want to talk about. I mean, it's me versus Ted. So Ted's team's pretty good. I mean, I can't besmirch what he's been able to put together. I think we're all in agreement. His team is on paper.
He's in the driver's seat right now.
The best. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. So the new dad, it's all coming up Teddy these days. He has a beautiful baby, Greek baby boy. He's about to go through just a level of sleepiness that no one can prepare you for. So,
like I said, he's probably getting discharged today. It's Thursday. Comes Sunday, he is not going to know what time it is.
You know what's funny? This is an awful thing. I shouldn't say this out loud, but I will. So Claire had a little bit of jaundice and needed to go under the light, and I was like, "Oh,
do a little Billy Rubes test."
I was like, "Yeah, go get her out of here. I gotta take I got like the best sleep I got from that for the next 6 months was when she like needed like nurse time with jaundice light, and I was like, after that it was a blur." So maybe he's got a little extra day in him if Quinn needs some time, but
maybe Quinn's got that dog in him and just loves sleep, you know?
That would
like
be
dogs do. They nap all day.
that would be tremendous for him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the 3 a.m. videos of Ted just getting through it because he's got a lot to be excited about, man. He's got a big night tonight. He's got Lamar. He's got Mark Andrews, which is just you love seeing that. And now he's got the RB1 in Jacksonville. Basically, Agnew, I guess would give him a little bit of pressure for snaps, but it's Etienne season. Etienne season.
If I may, though, it is Etienne season, but they are going up against one of the Broncos have been in the news for all the wrong reasons, but they're one of the best defenses in the league. And I mean, Etienne, show us what you got. The only person who's been able to run on us with any success is Josh Jacobs, and he absolutely destroyed us.
And Breece Hall until he got hurt, but we don't talk about
that. Which means he didn't have a very good day, dude. I mean, and then you've got, Dameon Pierce is drawing a tough matchup with Tennessee that hasn't allowed anybody to get even 80 yards since week 3. With Las Vegas, then Ramondre Stevenson against the
That was
Jets.
a great little stat. Dude, what do you got, the defense in front of you? Like, that was a good thing to know off the top of your head.
That? Yeah. I'm pulling stuff up.
That was good. That was good. The dual screens are working for you, man.
What worries me is the phenomenal matchups that A.J. Brown has, Cooper Kupp has, and Mark Andrews has.
Is it a phenomenal matchup for Kupp against the Niners?
I'd say yeah. Now, they've already played the Niners once this year, so let's see how Cooper did.
19. So, yeah, I mean, Cooper's kind of – he's – dude, he
kind of a down day, wouldn't you say? 19 targets for 14 receptions and 122 yards. Dude,
that guy should have been the most expensive player in the draft. We just fucked up.
Dude, he was like a mediocre player for like 2 years. Like two straight years.
Because he had Jared – I mean, he was good when he was healthy. He had Goff, and then he got hurt in maybe 2020. But Kupp is just – he's –
I think this is an open and shut win for me because tonight's going to be a big Gus night because you want to show on national television like we're not afraid. It's Gus who's going to bring us home. The Gus bus. Plus a lot of Duvernay Wildcat stuff. Tons of defensive scores and block kicks and punts and stuff. Not going to be a lot on the ground for his other guys. And Mark Andrews, he has been known to bust.
Yeah, it's been known to bust. It'll finally be a fun. Actually, last week was a Thursday night. That was kind of fun, but the Yankees were on, so I just kind of updated my phone. I will be watching tonight. I'm excited for tonight, and we'll have the passing of the torch from one generational quarterback to the other. Where Lamar, I love Lamar Jackson, man. The Ravens, they better sign him to $1 billion contract.
You could argue though that Lamar maybe teams have kind of figured him out because at the beginning of the season we were talking about Lamar as like holy shit he's game changing 26.6 50 47.3 since that time he has been what you would call a disappointing quarterback 15.4 16.6 18.1 and then last week 10.7. Lamar hasn't scored over 18.1 in 4 weeks. Now he's in prime time. I'd like to see some fumbles, some interceptions. And maybe I'd like to see him run off the field in disgust Antonio Brown style at halftime. For me,
anything's possible. I will say one of my favorite seasons of a player ever is Lamar Jackson in 2019, and I think I'm just chasing that high. Like I had him last year. I'm like, he can do it again. He can have a 50-point game and go for 90-yard runs whenever he wants. Like I want that to just be his baseline, but apparently not. Apparently, he's had a more down year than I realized. But
let's talk about why Ted's not going to win, and that's because the talent on my side is so primed to pop. I mean, you've got Geno going up against New York, and he used to be there.
Yo, big news. Excuse me.
What happened?
Big news. Jamar Chase reportedly dealing with a hip issue and expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks.
No way. Are you serious?
Out of nowhere. He had a little bit of a limp last week, but
really?
Yeah, so instant upgrades to Taj Boyd for young Rockwell and T. Higgins.
That's a guy I have. He was a throw-in in this little mom and pop trade I did recently.
So breaking news. Fucking Chase 4 to 6 weeks. That's a bummer, man. Wow.
Dude, that's huge.
That's a bummer.
I think. I think Bacher's not going to win this week.
That's
he's going to have to start MVS if he hasn't already dropped him.
MVS is on a bye.
Oh,
Maybe we'll trade him
no.
Pitts.
You should target a guy like Pitts to
Yeah,
maybe
Pitts is.
fill in that
Where's his
spot.
team, dude? Yeah. So what's Bakker doing without Jamar Chase? Still with a Q. If we click on him here, yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, bro. Adam
Jeez,
Schefter
man,
reports. So I think he's gonna have to maybe go.
the IR. That
Yeah,
that
give
is
me IR
that's a
spot.
pure play case to have an IR slot in our like Jamar Chase is getting dropped. Like just put him on the IR, baby. That's a huge loss.
We can
Huge.
vote on
It's a
it.
huge gain for me because T Higgins is about to be fucking incredible.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
that
And I
really
need it too
stinks.
because DK Metcalf's definitely not playing this week. I know they're like, look, he deeply damaged his patella. Doesn't need surgery, but damn it, he's going to try to play this
I
week.
love that. Like Pete Carroll's like, what a master of deception. Love Pete Carroll. He's like, I don't know. We're gonna try to get him out there. But dude, if you think like this week, Ezekiel Elliott,
Yep.
Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, like guys who, and then we lost Brees Hall. We lost like in the last week. It's been an absolute bloodbath for injuries,
Yeah.
man. Like another big name player got hurt who escapes me. But like, yeah,
Guys who aren't like fantasy relevant, but like linemen are dropping like flies.
Elijah Vera Tucker, the Jets' best
Yeah.
player, is out for the year with a fucking tricep. So this is tough, man. This is what scares a guy like me with a paper thin roster to just see guys drop.
Dude, yeah. I mean, you already lost a running back for the season, so
Me? Oh, Rashad, yeah. He had a weak ass fibula, man. Anyone who breaks their fibula is made of glass.
well,
There, I said
I think that I do have a shot because tonight, Mike Evans, well, 2 weeks ago was a bit busty.
Oh, you have a lot going in tonight. You're going against Lamar and against, and then you have Mike Evans. You know what I thought was interesting, if I may? You watch Mike Evans, that I'm sure you've seen the replay enough, or maybe just once and turned your TV off, but where he dropped the ball, it should have been a 70-yard touchdown, and then immediately off the bounce, just like snatches it like it's nothing. Like, how did the ball in the, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, he dropped it and then bounced, and then he caught it with no problem, like it was nothing. Like,
It was pretty frustrating.
I would lose
to
my
watch
mind.
that. I watched that live, and I was like, "Oh, let's go! Finally, I'm gonna storm out to the races." And it just felt very like what my season is. But I'll tell you, who I'm most excited about because Higgins, Evans, sure, Raheem, everyone's talking about him. Downgraded to just a walkthrough today. Devin Singletary against Green Bay, love the way he's playing lately. It's the Jets' defense going up against. New
Oh,
England.
you picked up the gang green.
That's
You picked
right.
up our boys in the black alternates.
That's exactly right. And I think that against New England, New England this past week, they've given up 3 separate digi defensive matchups.
Yeah, they're turnover machines up there, and very uncharacteristic of a Belichick team. But this Jets team is fun, man. You know what good defenses do? They get pressure with 4. Meaning they rush 4, drop everyone else. Like teams that, like the Niners when they went to the Super Bowl with Mahomes, they ran the ball really well and just rushed 4 and got pressure every time. And our defense is really tough to block, even if you have 5 guys. And then we have great corners. And I think this is a fun team, man. Like I've been waiting a long time for the Jets to have a team I can be excited about. And I know, look, I think on offense it's a bit frustrating with Zach right now, but he's not turning the ball over. He's keeping us in games. He's like, it's so interesting, this kid, because he's like a flashy fucking guy who maybe stands too long in the pocket. But as long as he keeps the turnovers at 0, with this defense is gonna really help us carry in a lot of games. So anyway, like your defensive choice this week.
I'm going to lose to Ted. It doesn't matter. Like
Tonight's a big night for you, man. Don't say.
No, you're right. You're right. I could not lose to Ted. But look, like I said in the rankings earlier this week, me and Apurva, like people see us on the schedule, they're just like, all right, guys, tonight we're giving it our all. Like we get a lot of points scored against.
Yeah,
our
you
team.
get. Is that what the actual? Is this speculation or is this actually built based on actual points scored against?
No, this is a very real stat.
Perva has 890 scored against him in 7
points against
weeks?
890. I've got about 860. So you
Hold
compare
on.
that to Schwartz with 633 or Rob with 708. That must be nice. Having like 2 weeks of a team, not like for Perva, that's
That
a
sucks, man.
tremendous amount.
I had a year kind of like that in 2020 where like I just felt like I could put up $120 and you get $140 scored against you and you're just like, hey.
I was 7-6 in a year where I averaged like 135 points a game.
Against you?
No, like
Yeah, I know.
for
Yeah,
me.
you had a
It was,
500
dude, it was insane. That was the week that I had like 158 points, and Michael Thomas had like a 91-yard touchdown to beat me.
I remember that. That was the Mahomes year. You had
Very-
Mahomes that year.
That sucked. But
was
we
the
talked
Rams.
about these last two matchups a lot, and I feel like because my youngest son was waking up, I just want to kind of return real quick and give some love to that team decide matchup. We really zoomed through it.
So real quick, did Jordan is Logan still next to you?
No, so basically, I had a monitor right here.
Oh, it's a monitor. I was like, did Jordan
monitor?
come up there and take your kid? Okay, so
No,
it's a
Jordan
monitor.
came
Okay.
home and she took him out of the crib and took
A
him to the
plus mom
library.
stuff, dude. Jordan, she's really helping this podcast out, man. Good for her.
She really is. Also, she's like, "Do you want me to take the kid?" And at first, he was sleeping at the beginning of this podcast. I was like, "No, don't take him, babe. Like, go to the library with Cam. It'll be so fun for you guys. Like, I'm a super dad. Like, don't worry about it. I'm on a call because I'm not gonna be like, hey, like, take both kids to the library because I'm recording our very famous and important podcast."
By the way, smash that like button and follow back because
smash that like button, click that button, watch all of our old stuff, watch our interview with Brees Hall's dad about how much we respect and love his son. Really exciting stuff. Well, look, I think
let's get back into the team to sign matchup. Let's give him his fair shake.
Let's really give him his due. And look, Apurva's been scored on a ton, and this is manna from the gods for him with Jamar Chase. Oh my God, 4 to 6 weeks. That's just like.
How does that fucking happen? Because he finished the game.
Dude, he had a massive game. His best game.
I remember he was limping at some point, but I gotta say that's a bummer for Bach.
Dude,
because,
I limp like every day when I get out of bed.
Yeah, bro. Doubtful. He immediately got the D.
He's
29. Chase was hitting his stride, man. 28-7 and 29 in the last 2 weeks, and now you got to take him off for a month. That's gonna kill Bach's team, bro. He may. Alec Pierce, Olave, Peoples-Jones, and then he's got a tough bye week. I mean, Elijah Mitchell just got put on the IR? What?
No. Elijah Mitchell's been on the IR the whole season.
Okay. Why is he on?
And also, look, Bacher is suffering through a spate of horrible transactions. McCaffrey gets traded to San Francisco. He immediately drops Jeff Wilson Jr., who, like, let's see what happens first, Bach. And then he trades Kyle Pitts for a guy on bye who's not even good to begin with, and he drops 50-plus fab on Isaiah Pacheco on Saturday. Now he has 4 fab left, and now Jamar Chase is hurt.
Yeah, but he still has Josh Allen, so he's got a puncher's chance every week. I say that a lot.
Josh Allen. I mean, I think no matter what happens with Bach's team, he is destined to start 2 Green Bay running backs because that's what the universe wants.
Or Chase Edmonds. Maybe your boy's not healthy enough to go this week, and he's got to go with the Dolphins, butter and egg man, and
so
the backfield.
That has to be something that Bacher wants. But look, I've been tracking the Mostert stuff since since always. I love the guy
Forever, yeah. Okay, you've been I remember, like maybe a year or two ago, you had the draft at your house, and you just had this hilarious statement. You're like, I watched that guy Mostert, and I like I want that on my team. It was very funny. You were very fucked up at the end of the draft, and you were like,
I want a guy with that.
I like that on my team. It was.
You got
Mostert, by the way, has
the ball.
He has one of my favorite end zone dances, where he gets in there, he like swims and then like surfs. I think that's points for creativity.
It's tricky for the knee. And look, here's the thing about him being downgraded. Last week, he was limited the entire week because, look, we know it's documented. The reason why no one's talking about Raheem Mostert as like some top back is because he's got these fucking bum knees. So, they know that in Florida, and they're treating him right in practice. They're not letting their guy on Thursday of a week be like, oops, we ran his hip too much. Now he's out for 6 weeks. Miami knows what they're doing. Unlike in Cincinnati, they're getting cocky up there. So, Chase, as much as I hate to say it, because he's a Jesuit brother, he stinks.
I think we could see a Chase Edmonds or an AJ Dillon start at a Bacher because the rest of his team's on bye this week.
So look, think about what AJ Dillon does. He catches balls, but he kind of doesn't really. They're going up against Buffalo, so they're going to have to Buffalo's not going to spend a lot of time on offense. They're going to throw the ball 90 yards as fast as they can, and then Aaron's going to have to cook.
But I got to say, man, Apurva, I like Apurva a lot this week. But I said he's got it's chalky, but Josh Jacobs, who's good, very good. He absolutely annihilated this defense, and Derrick Henry's going to. I think it's safe to pencil Derrick Henry in as a 25-plus week RB1. And then Algiers got Carolina. I could see that being a scrappy game.
Well, I mean, I believe you are understating how good of a matchup Derrick Henry has. There have been 6 games so far this year that the Texans have played. They've given up 33.9, 34.3, 37.6, and 38.9 in 4 of those weeks. 38.9 was the last week. So
to Josh, okay, Jacob.
To Josh, yeah. They've only given up less than 100 rushing yards once. That was to my boy Eckler, who also put up several touchdowns that game, and they got.
I think he had I remember watching that.
So he's going to do great. I mean, I think Algier, the Panthers actually don't give up a ton of yards, and he's not that good. So he's just in a tough spot. He needs his best players to really perform because his bench is pointless, basically. Melvin Gordon.
Herbert's bench is pointless?
Kenyon Drake cannot be started. Cam Akers is at home. Alexander Madison can't be started. Gerald Everett's on bye. If you're going to start Melvin Gordon with confidence, I'll show you the door.
Well, didn't what's his name? The guy just get hurt. The guy Gotti rosters another part of Gotti's injury.
Yeah, you know who started last week, regardless of any of this? Latavius Murray. So
I totally forgot about him.
Doesn't matter.
Good point. All right. Well, look, he's still got fucking Stephon Diggs and fucking DeAndre, who I think is, and teams would be lucky to have him as a wide receiver too. So I think
teams would be so lucky. Teams would be so lucky. But look, I think if we look at the standings, just to kind of round this hour, kind of get long in the tooth here, almost an hour. But this is a make or break week for the bottom third of the league.
Yeah.
Those are teams with those are teams with 2 or less wins. I think if any of us win, you stay alive, obviously. If any of us lose, you're pretty much out of it for the rest of the year. I mean, you could theoretically go 8-6 and probably make the playoffs, but that would require extreme luck and an unprecedented run. So
I there has been an 8-6 team that missed the playoffs, and that was me in 2016. So 8 wins
couldn't have been. Didn't have a 14.
8-5 then. I know I had 8 wins because 8 wins is always my metric for a guaranteed playoff spot. So I think we may, if the bottom guys continue to be bottoms and tops continue to top, I think we may be looking at a few 8-win teams down the stretch. So I am hoping selfishly that a lot of you guys, Greg, Josh, get the W this week to take down those other teams that are on the top part. But I just don't see it happen.
I would love to see Josh and Greg get some wins, bring some parity to the league.
Yeah.
I'd obviously love to see me take Ted down a notch.
Take Papa Teddy down. Yeah, who wouldn't? Look, I think at this point you're starting to really get, understand the dynamic of the league, right? You understand who the top, Ted and Marty right now, I think are the 1 and 2 seed by a long shot. I'm hoping to creep up in there. Dan's got a lot of,
I would say you're doing some damage. Yeah, but those 2 teams are easily the most complete, followed by probably my team.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
QB,
I think that's
great running back play, number 1 running back in the league. You probably have 3 wide receiver ones, probably. I mean,
probably. Plus, you have the Jets defense, so
yeah.
So
exactly.
I know. I think. Look, this. It's also been a weird year. I think if you look statistically, 2020 and then 21 were the 2 highest scoring league in the history of the NFL, and now this year's been just kind of like I was saying, Trevor Lawrence being the number 9 overall quarterback tells you all you need to know. The quarterback play this year has fucking sucked, and it's really, really valuable to have a guy like Mahomes for Marty to be in that spot, because I'm rolling the dice with Carr and Lawrence. I think Ted, who I thought had Lamar, who does, but I thought had better numbers. There's just guys, you set it and forget it guys aren't they're few and far between this year. So I think if quarterback play doesn't stabilize, Marty's gonna be tough down the stretch.
And I just want to say before we leave, I'm trying to look historically here. We're trying to understand who's the luckiest guy in the league last year. Who's the Schwartz of last year? So who can Schwartz really emulate? And the guy I would point to is honestly Derek. Wait, no, I take that back. I'm looking at points against. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. It's
You're
Marty.
looking for what's the metric here? You're looking
It's Marty.
for
So,
wins despite points scored.
Marty made the playoffs last year. He had sub 1,600 points. I mean, he was outscored by everyone but the bottom two teams in the league on the season, and made the finals. By the way, so
Tell me about it.
If you're Schwartz, you're saying, well, yeah, I'm not performing now. I'm known to put up an 80, but I've got the horses.
I got nothing for you. Yeah, Marty, he stole a win from me last year, and the scars are still there. But I don't know. It's just the best teams are going to be the best teams, right? Like you can just go for a longer time in the playoffs, but I think right now there's the haves and the have-nots, and I think if you're not consistently at this point in the year putting up anywhere north of $1.15 a few weeks in a row, your days are numbered. So that's why I said we're saying the same thing a different way. Marty and Ted's team are tier 1. I think tier 2 is pretty crowded with those 4 or 5 win teams, and then you have tier 3 with you and Greg and Chazzy at the bottom.
So for all you guys out there, last thing I'll say, Ted's a minus 15.2 favorite against me this week. You've got Pat is a minus 18.2 favorite over the reeling Rock
No
Goddess
way. He must have Zeke in the lineup then.
Sorry. I'm just giving you what it says. And the biggest blowing or back out blowout projection of this week is the minus 18.4 favorite for Marty over league worst Josh. Just retire, dude. Just go to Tel Aviv and just DJ. And then you've got a minus 13.2 favorite Schwartz over Dima, minus 7.3. That's ripe to be adjusted. Conlon, Nick, Bacher, Nick over Team Desai. That's going to pendulum swing, but that's also just because there's no QB.
Dude, should I start Kyle Pitts this week?
You kind of have to, just to show off. I mean,
that was what I was thinking, man. I was like, fuck it, just you get him, but no.
I mean, start him over Hawkinson at least. Like, what's Hawkinson going to do? He's been ass except for 1 week.
We'll see. A lot can change between now and Sunday. So, but
speaking
of Sunday, I got a costume. Claire's got a costume, and we're going to be rocking and rolling at the Jerome crib. So that'll be a fun little get together.
So the Tenafly High School does a video, like the video club does like a news show every morning. Make do the Pledge of Allegiance. They talk about hey, sign up for like the wrestling team. There's an info session. Like, remember to donate for this shit. Wear pink on Friday. And then they interviewed some Tiger Tots because my son goes to a preschool in the high school, and they're like, what are you kids going to be for Halloween? And he just says, a skeleton, which is not even the costume we got him. I'm like, yo, just fucking get it right, dude. I'll show you.
You know what? Maybe, there's a lot of, maybe he wants to be a skeleton. Maybe he panicked. Maybe he thinks his frog costume is a skeleton. I don't know.
I'll show you guys the video. But look,
this
has
frog,
been a great
right?
one. It's going to be a big week. Big make it or break it week. Ted, I hope that you get to watch the game tonight. And again, if you want to bench Lamar to give him the time off, just like you take time off, then no one's going to blame you.
No one's going to hate. We've all been there, man. It's tiring being a father. So big week. Josh got famous. Ted became a dad, and his whole team got hurt. And Jamar got hurt too. So busy week here in the Freak Show as always. But yeah, what are we at? An hour 10?
We're at about an hour 10. I just want to, I do want to close with this, and I just want to be the first one to say this, and but do a lot of thinking, and Derek Del Rosa, I'm sorry, man. I've been weird to you. For that, I'm sorry, man. All right, sayonara, guys.
Let's see you next week.